be guessed you were from the town that I love best. Talk Memphis, I wish you would. Talk Memphis, you sound so good.
All right, so let's get to today. 4 types of investors. You think you're a calculated person.
Calculated investor.
Calculated investor. I would call me mildly aggressive. So the 4 types of investors that we've got today, we've got an observer, a speculator, a collector, and then just the word investor. Let's take these one by one and kind of dive into them. Let's start off with the observer. No risk, no return.
So you don't get a return?
Well, I mean, to me, if you take no risk whatsoever,
it basically means you're learning a bunch of stuff. You're reading a bunch, going to the seminars. I've seen guys at MIG for 15 years
hadn't bought
still hadn't bought a house.
Oh man!
And I'm not trying to be funny about that.
No, but
you know what I mean. But
but
it's sad because somebody just hasn't been able to get off the hump. They got all the book down. They got all the book smart up here, but they're just there's something that's holding them back, that they're scared. And so they just observe everybody else. And so, I wrote down the example of your guy in Arkansas. We brought up multiple shows.
Yep.
One of his good friends that he was at work with. So your guy in Arkansas has bought 35, sold all 35, made profits on all of them.
Moved to commercial.
And his original partner that he was going to partner with has won.
And hadn't contacted me about another one since.
Right.
And
that's probably a year plus.
Oh, it's at least a year we bought it. That one house has to be driving him crazy.
Oh,
even if it's.
He reaches out to me to fix. I mean, he's trying to do it all himself. He reaches out to me all the time to fix stuff and get a second quote, and but
see, it's driving him crazy.
That's right.
He will
get it, and he'll get out of the game because of that.
Yeah, eventually, because we've said this a million times. You got to get up to 9 or 10.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's a pain in the rear end job with not much return.
And it's hard for our job as helping investors. The what we call true investors. You get all these calls. People want to buy 100 houses, 50 houses, want to buy this huge apartment, and then you give them your whole spiel. You explain how things work. You go tell them to read this or go to watch this. Different things to try to get them knowledge on that specific area, and you never hear from them again.
Why do you think? What is it? So for this one investor, we've had lunch, we've talked. Right. He's bought the one home. I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about. What do you think it is? What's that? Whatever the glitch in their system, so to speak, for lack of better words, that keeps them from moving on.
I think it's what I've said all along. It's 80-90% of the people that we meet, it's just it's a limiting belief.
Yeah.
It's their, something in their mental state just won't let them do it. And so somebody's got to push them over the edge to go do it. You know what I mean? I was talking to a guy this week and he was, hey, I think I want 4 houses by the end of the year. And I was like, well, hold your horses. I was actually doing the opposite. Like, let's buy one, kind of like you did. I said, I actually told him, I said, go talk to Dean, see how Dean's first house was.
Oh my God.
Dean was a wreck.
Yeah.
Wearing me out. But we learned a ton, right? And now your second house that you sold the first one came out okay.
Yep.
Your second one,
perfect.
I wish I hadn't given it to you. I wish I had kept it.
Man, I can't. I thank you every morning.
Yeah,
for They've already paid rent for the next month.
For July?
Yeah.
You want to sell it back?
Yeah. Yeah. About $75,000. I'll give it to
$75,000.
Wouldn't that be something? It's totally off topic,
Spencer.
but yeah, totally off topic.
Call you Spencer.
Sell it back to you for $60. Well,
it's such a performing asset. It's got a great return. Thanks, Dan, for helping me set up the maintenance, the rehab, and
so this is keys to having a mentor. Somebody that can help you. We're laughing and joking, but all jokes aside, you did pass that home to me, and you said, "Hey, man, go check it out, see if it's something that'll work for you." Mm-hmm. And those are some of the advantages of having a mentor that's in the business. I mean, right. Could you guys have taken that home? Absolutely. Does it fit your criteria? 100%, it does. And for whatever reason, you felt that day, hey man, go check it out, and it turned out to be a good one. So, back to the observer, one of the notes here is they believe studying is giving them experience. And in a way that it is, because I always tell people, hey, go to Bigger Pockets and listen to podcasts. Go read books, read, everything that you can and do to educate yourself. So it is giving you some confidence. It's giving you some knowledge, but experience, they believe they're getting that experience, and it's truthfully not. Because I think you'd admit, you can read all the books you can and listen to all the podcasts you can listen to, but until you buy that first one and go through it, it's hard to understand what you're dealing with.
Yes, you got to go through the physical experience of having a property, going through, I met a new wholesaler yesterday, came by the office, and speaking of mentoring, and he asked me a ton of questions, and I was like, man, and we've told our guys, just get one deal. I don't care if you make $100 on the wholesale. That's what I was telling this guy yesterday. They're so focused on, they think they got to make 5,000 or 10,000. I'm like,
everyone,
just make something, and that way you get your process figured out. Same thing with the house, like just analysis by paralysis, but just if you feel decent about the number, you got a little cash on the side to make sure you're okay. Go do it.
Yeah,
and that's the only way you're going to learn.
Get in it.
I was talking to a guy yesterday. I mean, it's a perfect storm. He's got a good attitude about it, but I could tell he's going to be a little bit high maintenance. So before he bought, I had a conference call with him. I said, man, this ain't California. I said, you're gonna have late rents, blah blah blah.
Prepare
yourself. Well, so he bought a house that he thought was vacant, ended up being rented. So the seller did not inform him correctly, and so he just laughed yesterday. He goes, man, you warned me, da 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 da. He goes, and so his first month, we got to evict a tenant that they just bought this house on that he didn't know was rented. But it's like, I was like, man, what's the worst that can happen? We'll get you'll be a month behind. You already had money set aside. You wanted to fix this up.
Fix it up.
I had told him not to spend it before the tenant moved anyway, or before it was vacant.
Yep.
And so
very smart.
He'll be fine.
Yeah.
But
you just got to understand, and I've had these calls too, you got to understand that our market's a little different. And if to listen to the people that are giving you good advice that have boots on the ground. So the observer is kind of our first investor. That person is going to sit kind of on the sidelines. They're going to read. They're going to ask questions. They're going to call you. They're going to text you. And they're going to email you to death. And
and if you find yourself in that category, find you a mentor. Find you somebody to hold you accountable that will push you to do to get you action,
out of that,
to get you out of that mindset. Or write down what is it that's holding you back. You know what I mean? And then start working on that.
You believe 80 to 90% of becoming an investor is getting that mental, just the mental aspect out of the way.
Correct.
Because you can listen to this show and you can read books and listen to podcasts and get the education. It's okay, I'm gonna do this. It's the hard part.
Yes.
So people can relate. What put you over the hump and said, okay, I'm doing this. Now you jumped off of the deep end. I mean, I wouldn't advise most investors to do what you did first, unless you're really cash strong, financially
which
strong.
I wasn't.
And you weren't. That's why I'm saying that
27.
Right now. Right.
Didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
Bought a 19 unit. I don't know. I'd have to think. I mean, I was on that podcast with Jordan, the Profitable Property Management podcast a few months ago, and his last question is, entrepreneurs born or bred? And I was like, both, and, I think you got some inherent, we are born a certain way, certain traits. Yep. My daughter's totally different from my son.
Yep.
That wasn't because we're raising them any different.
Yep.
But they're just different. So you got part of that. And then, you got to understand, you got to have a little bit of self-awareness of that.
Of who you are.
And then you got to figure out, because of who you are, how do you jump through that hurdle? Because we have some friends that are opposite that we'll talk about in just a second, that go in other categories, so extreme the other way. They need somebody holding them back, or they're going, crash and burn. So it's good to be conservative, but you got to have somebody that's going to push that gas pedal and push you to make make the jump.
Right.
I swear I can't get enough listening to